Happy full moon, everyone. Hope you are doing well. So, I'm actually pre recording this. It is Friday today, and the full moon is on Sunday, but you will be hearing this on Sunday. The reason why I pre record is because I love posting on the full moon, and I don't have the time to actually film on the full moon, or record. So I'm doing it now. I also want to apologize for not posting anything for a few days. I was really busy with preparations. Before I start with today's topic, I just want to say a few things about the skull spells and the full moon. First thing I want to say is that every month there will be a few people that will want to book the full moon spell a few days before the actual event. And usually by then they will all be booked because for this spell the slots are limited. It's just 1 day and 1 night. So I have a limit of how much I can do, obviously, and I can't cross that limit because I just don't have the time, I don't have the energy, and it is what it is. So I always feel bad when I have to reject people and turn them down. But guys, please be mindful to book this spell on time. It does get booked relatively quickly, depending on the month, but it always gets fully booked. So please take that into consideration. And everybody that didn't have the chance to book for May, you can book for June. Just make sure you do it on time. I will be starting to accept bookings for the June full moon from tomorrow. So tomorrow for you, for me, Monday. Anyways, I want to mention that. And as well as that, I also, for the people that book a spell. As you know, usually you will not have to wait long for your spell to be casted. I will book you a day, two, or three, or sometimes more in advance, depending on my schedule, because I do have, limitations, obviously, of the amount of spells I can do per day, and I have to obviously have some days off as well. So keep that in mind. And for everyone that, asks, can it be sooner? Can it be right now? So unfortunately, usually if it's booked, you will have to wait a few days. And I don't do the spells on the same day you book because I do need to prepare myself. So I definitely take 1 day for preparations always. I take my work very seriously and I stand behind my work. So I want to do it the best way possible. So that is just not a thing with me. Um, and I do also find it kind of suspicious if people will just cast the spell right away. Um, you know, just keep that in mind. So, um, another thing that I wanted to talk about is a little bit about the full moon that we're having tonight. For you guys tonight, for me in 2 days, but yeah, it's confusing when I pre-record, sorry. Anyways, it's a full moon in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and the planet Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of good luck, of really nice, beautiful things. And therefore, I think that is just perfect. Also, this particular full moon, the Jupiter is making this beautiful square with the planet Saturn, which means that your luck that these spells can bring to you will not just be short term, it could actually be something durable, something long term. So, very beautiful. I am very excited for the full moon. I, in general, really love Sagittarius and Jupiter energy, and I love Sagittarius people. And I think the main thing why I enjoy their energy so much, and I think that everybody kind of does, is because for the most part, of course, depending on other placements as well, but people that have their sun or their rising in Sagittarius or a lot of different placements in Sagittarius, they tend to be very detached, like in general. And as you know, that is extremely attractive. And I really just enjoy such people. So, having said that, today's topic is going to be detaching. So, how convenient, huh? I was actually not planning. To do it like this because I always improvise with these audios, but I wanted to talk about detachment, and I wanted to talk about the reason why you are having trouble detaching. And I think this is so important. It's one of the most important things that you can learn, not just regarding your spell work and your specific person, your target, but in general, with everything. This goes for every area of your life. This goes for everything. So remember that. Usually, everything I talk about will, you can use the same approach with your career, with your health, with a lot of things. But I will just be using the romantic and romantic or relationships example because that is um, around, I would say, probably at least 80% of my practice. So obviously, this is the channel that is meant for my clients, and I just deliver the things that are most important for them and the things that they can relate to and the things they ask me about. So this is why, I will always talk about basically exes and love and things like that. But this definitely goes for everything else as well. So always keep that in mind. So, why do we get so attached and what is behind it is very important to understand. And we have talked about this on a channel a lot. But basically, the reason why you wait for crumbs. The reason why you put your whole value into how this person will react or into what this person will say. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that when your value is adjustable based on someone else's attention span, where does it come from? So it basically comes from the lack of self-respect, the lack of self-worth. So this is that core wound that we talk about a lot of not being enough, not being good enough. And then you think that you need to settle for crumbs. You think that you need to beg, that you need to try really hard to get somebody's attention, to get a text, or, just to find love and receive love. You think you need to work hard for it. You think that you always need to be the one that reaches out first. You always need to be the one that does all the work. And it comes from just the fact that you don't think you're worthy for the other person to do that and to, just give you that respect. And that is a huge problem. And this is the thing that you definitely need to fix. In general, because without that, even if the spell can bring you somebody, you would just find yourself in that same dynamic because your energy is basically desperate and needy because you need validation. You don't have it inside, so you crave it outside. And the absurd thing is that you kind of you think that if I just get this text, or if this person just gives me a compliment, or if this person says something nice to me, if this person, validates me, then I will be fine. And you are in that anxious state and in like a really desperate state where you just can't focus on anything and your whole mood is ruined until this person actually replies to your text. And then you feel good for a moment and you feel great. Okay, I got a text. And it's like a relief because, yes, I'm important. Yes, this person does care about me. Yes, this person did validate me, right? But the minute that this person does not reply to the next text, or just takes a long time to reply to the next text, the same thing will happen again, and all of that, validation will just go away and you will crave more. So when you depend on outside validation, you will only crave more and more and more, and it will never be enough, and it will just be a loop that will keep happening. And you're going to think that if only I find a person that always treats me right, or if only this person starts treating me right, or if only this person asks me out, or whatever it is, then I will feel good, and then I will feel worthy, and then I will feel, just secure and safe, and I will feel confident. But that is not the case, because it doesn't go like that. If it's coming from the outside, then it's never enough, ever. And even if you're getting validation, if you do not have that self-respect within you, if you don't validate yourself, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be creating little, and this is going to be subconscious, but I'm right. You're going to be creating little arguments, or you're going to be trying to get more validation, and you're just going to be self-sabotaging your relationships. So think about this. Now, um, let's talk a bit about self-respect. So obviously, if we don't have it, nothing can work for us. And I'm going to give you an example. And I'm going to use myself, because I think that by giving you an example, it could be the easiest way for you to kind of see how to deal with it and how it works. Sorry. So those of you who have been on this channel for a while, you guys know that I didn't have any female friends for like 10 years, probably, maybe longer. And I did have a really good friend or two in the past, but they have moved. They have moved to other countries, and although we're still in touch, I don't see them anymore very often, and all of those things. And I kind of made a peace with the fact that, okay, I have no female friends, and I just have to depend on male friends, and that's it. And I was in a mindset that basically, women don't like me, I'm too old to find new friends, all kinds of things that I was thinking. But then one day I was like, why not? Why shouldn't I try to find female friends? And obviously, I did not want to do anything, any actual trying to find them, because when I tried, it was a huge fail. Because I was needy, I was desperate, and I wanted to befriend a few girls, and they basically ran away from my energy. They just didn't reply or something when I texted and asked them to have a drink or something, coffee. And basically, I just decided to do a spell. That's the easiest route, right? So I did a spell to find friends, and I did, detach and all of that. And that spell, as you guys know, if you have been on the channel, worked beautifully. I was finding one friend after another, and soon enough, I had, like 5 or 6 of them, which was great. And, they were all great girls, great, great women. And that's exactly what I wanted. However, even if you find really great partners, like I said, or really great friends, the connection will depend on your energy as well. And with me, when, just like with friends in general, I had this issue in the past where I thought I really needed to chase them. It was something that I was used to, because I felt like you know, um, they didn't invite me, or they didn't reach out first and things like that. So it was just like a programming that I had where I thought that I need to do all the work. And then I found myself that with some of them, I had that dynamic where, they didn't really validate me, and I was just like chasing that validation. And up until I fixed that, even if I, gained all of those friends, those friendships would not be the way that I intended them to be. So basically, I needed to learn how to detach from that, because when you really crave for somebody to spend time with you, whether it's romantic or not, like in this case it was not romantic at all, but still I was attached to it, and I really wanted it, and I was needy for it, and I thought that I needed to, work for it, and I had to learn how to detach from it. And guys, when you're doing that, it's very important to actually, and this can be difficult when it comes to romantic things, especially because you think that, okay, if I pull away, if I stop reaching out, if I stop replying to, texts that I do not like, if I stop being passive aggressive, if I this, if I that, then this person will never reach out again, because you think that you're not valuable enough for this person to chase you, for this person to, do the first move and all of those things. And for you to actually understand that you are, when you actually have that self respect, that is when you are not afraid to do those things, when you're not afraid to detach, when you're not afraid to be in the energy of, okay, if it happens, happens, if it doesn't, doesn't. Because when you are, and obviously with spells, right, we're trying to bring that person back, but when we are in the energy that we want to force this person back, and that this is very important to us in a way that, we can't live without this person, this is when, we're gonna have that energetic blockage, and when we're gonna have that problem with our spell work. So detaching doesn't mean that you stop wanting that person, or loving that person, or daydreaming about that person. Daydreaming is allowed. What it means is that you stop obsessing that this is something that gives you worth, that this is something that gives you validation. It's just something that you want because you like the person, you love the person, you want to spend time with the person. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it's coming from that forceful energy, and usually the energy will be forceful if you don't have self respect, and then you think that you need to force things, or that you need to, do a lot of things, and that you need to send a bunch of texts, or that you need to explain your worth and send those texts, where you are writing paragraphs where you're explaining why you're worthy and why they should be replying and why they should be feeling bad because they did not reply or whatever it is. So that is what you should be detaching from. And I hope that makes sense, because I know that detachment is a term that some people don't quite understand. So, what we detach from is the neediness, it is the forcefulness, it is basically um, the the lack of self-respect, because when we don't have it, that is when the crumbs are great, that is when somebody finally replies with one word, we feel that relief, because we so needed that text, right? So this is what I'm talking about when I say detachment. I'm not talking about, oh, you're moving on and you don't love the person anymore, you don't want the person anymore. But there are certain actions that you need to be able to take in order to detach without fear. Because when you feel afraid to, not reply to a text, when you feel afraid to end the conversation, just for the time being, you just have to keep it going because you're afraid if it ends, it will never come back. This is where we have a problem, right? When you feel that fear around it, and when you're scared to, just simply say, okay, good night, we'll talk again tomorrow or some other day, this is where you can see that there is a big big problem, and you're not relaxed. Basically, you're attached. You are not relaxed, you are not easy with it, and you're trying to force this conversation to keep going. So don't be afraid to detach. A lot of people are afraid to detach exactly for the reason that they think they're not worthy enough to then, get this person unless they're trying to even energetically force it. That's not how it works. Remember, love is like a bird. It needs to fly, it needs to be free, and it's always free, and you can't force it, you can't cage it up, you can't bind it forever, and you just need to make peace with that and understand that it's a beautiful thing. It's not a guarantee that it's going to last forever, but it's something that you work on, that you feed, that you do your best with. And yeah, um, I think that is the best advice I can give you when it comes to magic. Detachment is the most important thing. So, the thing that you can do from your side is that. And then, of course, obviously, we have other variables. Detachment itself is clearly not going to be enough because we do have a target and their free will, and we do have the situation. But that is something that I'm dealing with, and detachment is something that you're dealing with. Anyways, I hope this was helpful, and I hope that everybody will go outside and take a look at the beautiful full moon in Sagittarius. I love you guys. Bye.